All right, guys, this is me, Tony with Southern Style. I did a video a while back about these generators, these AI Power GXS 7600 IRD. I ain't completely finished installing, just got them on there with a tie wrap, a ratchet strap, and I do have something to lock them on here. Made a halfway janky looking rack. I just had to get them on there to see how they worked. All right, we're gonna start with this video. I'm gonna just show you up front. They say they do 6100 watts, 5500 on propane. Most likely the 5500 is where they're gonna run. But it doesn't really matter on these because I bought the parallel kit, all right, with them. And that's the parallel kit piece. But as you can tell, I had to change the cord and I can't use the parallel ports. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. The question was asked, how loud are they? Are they very loud? Well, I'm gonna let you hear them, and I'm gonna start them up. Now these things, they're super quiet. Probably the most quiet generator I've ever had. I mean, they're a little deeper tone, but they're. And I tell you what I like about them. That was a little louder than this one, but this has been running more. I've got more hours on this. Probably got 10 hours on this one now, and that one's probably only got maybe 1. But they're both sitting there idling, okay? And they're on eco mode. And if I turn, and I tell you what I like about them is, see, they got a gas gauge on them. My other generators over there on that trailer over there, they don't have a gas gauge. But even off of eco mode, watch this. They don't get very loud. You know, both of them running. I mean, you could stand right next to them, have a conversation, and not pay attention to them. I know the question's going to be asked about this, so I'm going to get to this here in a second, and why I've got it wired the way I do. But so that you hear them, I want you to hear them. That's the battery button off. Battery button off. Check it out. You have to turn these off like this. Okay. So that's those. Now, granted, these are brand new generators. They're very quiet. You're right next to them. I can stand next to them and have a conversation. Now, these generators over here on this trailer, these generators are, I bought them, they got about a year on them. Okay? Now, these start up a little different. You just push the power button, they start flashing, and then you push it the second time, and you just let it do its thing. It'll do all of it. And now, you turn off eco. It's got a little higher pitched sound to it. I'm gonna do this one, let you watch me do this one. Oh, come on, you gotta push that button off. Now you can hear it, they've got a little higher pitch sound to them. They're not bad though. I mean, when you're around front, you don't really notice them, but they sound a little different than the other ones. All right. Now that I went through the sound of them, I'm gonna go over what I don't do and don't like. I'm gonna tell you right now, hands down, for the money, that generator's a bad generator. That's the best one I've ever seen. I've got a generator down there, old school generator, a big old storm generator. I've got a generator over there. I've got another generator than another truck. So I'm the guy that's got generators. I got 7 generators at my house because I'm running on these food trucks. I got to have backups just in case something goes down, right? So these are 5,500 watt generators. I don't know what that means. I wish I did. I don't know if it's peak watt, not peak watt, running watts, whatever. But I do know, I'm guessing that means peak watts, because if I plug up that trailer over there, it can shut these down. It's got enough power to shut them down. Like if I turn the microwave on and stuff, it'll start killing generators. And everything in this, everything in this trailer when it's running pulls about almost 5,000 watts per bank. Okay, so and I say that I got 2 30-amp breakers, all it's got in there running everything, but it pulls about 5,000 per side. So it pulls about 10,000 watts in that trailer. when it's running. That one over there, when I done the math on it, it's like 12 or 13 thousandths what it pulls wide open, okay? So knowing that and understanding how these generators work, you have to be very, very careful with this style of generator. All right, as you can tell, these are parallel, but they're not paralleled, okay? Now, on this generator, okay, it does not have a floating neutral. It is a bonded neutral in these generators. I know there's all kinds of stuff out there about floating and bonded and blah, blah, blah. But this is hot, this is neutral, and the ground was right here. That's the way they was. It was hot, neutral, ground. This is a 110 generator, okay, or 120 generator. It does not have the ability to do 240 volts. That's what's good about these generators. You're not going to fry a bunch of stuff because you don't have the ability to do 240 volts. Now, once you step up to the next size, you go up to 60, 100 watt or whatever, then you get up into the 240 volt generators. So, knowing that, I've got my adapter here that's paralleling them. They're not really paralleled, okay? What it is this one runs and this one runs. The grounds and the neutrals are bonded, but the 120 volt L1 on each one of them is running. If you get up here real close, you have L1, neutral, L1. These don't produce, these can't run across each other. They can only run to the neutral, okay, or to the ground. Which ground is just for, you know, in case something happens. But they really just run to the neutral. So, having that understanding of it, it kind of helps whenever I go over and show you these generators. And the way these food trucks work, that's what you want. You don't need, nothing's 240 volts in them. I mean, you can get into some trailers that have 240 volts, but in my trailers, they're all set up, everything's 110, all right? Or 120, whatever. So now that you understand how that works, you know, your neutrals and your grounds are paralleled, and the hots or the load is actually individual. So what happens is, like, say when my donut machine's running, one of these generators, when the burner kicks on, I guess you call it, it's the heating element. When it kicks on, one of these generators, I don't know which one it is, but one of you hear, whoa, it'll take off just cranking. And then when it kicks off, it'll idle back down. And then say the compressor kicks on slushy machine, the other generator, whoa, takes off, you know. So it really makes a big difference to have them that way. They run independently, but the neutrals and grounds are bonded. So here I go. All right, now you see this trailer over here and those generators. So I went and ordered these generators, and I thought, this is going to be awesome. They can be paralleled, and I didn't even mess around. I just said, you know what? I'm going to buy the generators. I'm going to buy the kit. I'm going to buy everything that matches. I don't want anything that doesn't match, because I hear horror stories of guys blowing up their stuff and burning things down. And when I first looked at these generators, it says it's 240 volt capable with this plug-in here, this L14. But it's red and black. It don't have a white on it. So I just assumed, and that's what you don't want to assume. You know what assuming does. But anyways, if this was going to be hot, that was going to be neutral, and your ground was going to be right here, right? So I read the instructions, hooked it all up. I get it hooked up, okay? This is what the parallel kit looks like. There's the end of it. I don't have it all hooked together anymore because I took it apart to build something else out of it. But here's the end of it. You got a red, just like that one, a red, a black, and a ground. Red, black, and ground. I thought, all right, this is going to be power, neutral, ground, right? So I go over here, I wire it all up. Basically, it's plug and play. You just set them on here, plug them up, hook the grounds up. I check it with my voltometer down here, and this plug-in that's supposed to be a 240 volt plug-in, right? And I look at it, and it says 240 volt. It doesn't say slash 120. It says 240. And it just didn't dawn on me that it was only 240. This lug, the neutral, not even hooked up. And then I look over at the generator, and right there it says floating neutral. And I was like, what does that mean? That's a new one on me. Didn't know the answer. Okay, so to recap, when you hook up these things in parallel, you hook up red, black, and ground. You flip it to 240 volts, And then you do this one the same way into this. And if you notice that even that LA or L6R30, 30R, whatever, that one's a 240 volt, right? So I'm like, well, I don't understand. So I take and test it. It says 240 volt. So I take my plug-in, which is laying right there, plug to the house. I plug it up. Nothing works right. Some things will come on, some things won't. It's not burning anything up, but everything in there's 110 volts. It don't have a neutral. So I made a phone call. I called the company. And then the company, I told them what I was doing. And they said, well, you hooked it to a food truck. You immediately voided your warranty. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, you don't have, so I didn't pay for the extra warranty, good. But I immediately voided my warranty because I was hooking it to a food truck. They said, we don't make generators to use for small businesses. What about that one? I mean, I want everybody to know that. They flat told me your warranty was voided. They were brand new out of the box, okay? Because I plugged up that cord to it. That's what I was wanting to use it for. But I was being honest with them. I wanted to know how to make it work. I wasn't trying to send them back. I was trying to make it work. So I look online and people's like, you got to bond. You got to do a bonding plug, and it bonds your ground to your neutral right here. Okay. Well, I used this plug here, and I bonded my ground and my neutral together. And then I came over here, and since theoretically, if your neutral and your ground's bonded, then that makes these two have the same potential right here. These two should have the same potential, right? So I wired them up. Ground and neutral bonded to both of these plugs and wired this up. Plugged it back in. Same crap. Still didn't help, okay? So then I dug back. I started making some phone calls, and everybody's like, I don't know. I'm calling generator companies. I'm calling repair people. I'm calling other electricians. I'm an electrician by trade. You know, that's what I do. So, I mean, I got these food trucks, but I remodel houses. I understand how it works. So I'm talking to people who work at your power plant, everything. And they're all like, I don't know. So then I got to thinking. I said, well, on that trailer over there, the ground and neutral's bonded. And the power, it's L1 from one generator, L1 from the other generator makes L1, L2. So that's where this plug come in. That plug right there, that L530R, I took and bought a 3-prong plug that's a heavy-duty 30-amp plug. I put the green to the ground, the white to the neutral, bought this 8-gauge outdoor cable, and I wired it in like it's supposed to be. So now what I have is both of my grounds are here, both of my neutrals off those plugs are here, and one black from one side is here and one's to the other. So now they're in parallel, but they're individual. And that, my friends, is what I had to do to get these to work. I just finished wiring it tonight. It's like the 5th time I've wired these things up. And I started up and everything worked perfectly. So, with that being said, if you buy one of these generators and you're going to run them try to run them like this, you have to take and wire them up in parallel, but not in parallel, I guess you say. The load has to be on their own side. They weren't tripping each other. I tried to just use use this 120 240 plug right here. I took and went and bought one, made a wire just to try to keep the trailer running. It trips it like every 10 minutes. It would send an overload. So that wouldn't work. So I ended up having to do what I did, and it works. I mean, I'm not saying it's flawless. I just turned everything on. This one was pulling like 3,500 watts. This one was pulling like 3,200 watts. And I was like, okay, once, a lot of compressors and stuff didn't kick on at the same time, that gives me 1,000 watts for compressors to kick on and off, on each one of them. So I'm hoping that, I don't know how long it'll last. In theory, it's getting 60 amps, 30 on each side. That's what that one's getting in theory. So they're basically running like those. It's a bigger generator, but it's not running like a bigger generator because it's, I'm having to run it like this. And I mean, I'm sure I could go in here and bypass that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want it to work, I don't want to go in there, because I've done that to other generators, bypass the breakers and stuff so that they can run more amps. But that's not what I want to do. I'm going to try it like this. I got a big event coming up in a couple weeks in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. It's the moving wall, or traveling wall, I think is what they call it, for Vietnam veterans. And I'm going to try them. I'm going to run them. But everything works. Even the air worked. So, you know, we'll see what they do. But I mean, I could, if you want me, you can put a comment. I can actually take it apart and show you how I wired this plug-in, how I wired this up, and go into detail. If someone's on there and they want to know exactly how to do it, I don't mind taking it apart and do a video of how the plug's wired and how this is wired to make it work. And that one there, I can't do that because I've actually, on the donut trailer, I still used these plugs, you know, but I just went in the back and tied them down because they tend to just shake out going, you know, sitting there idling, and it was causing it to have some weird funky stuff. So I hardwired them. That's why the cables go into the inside of there. But, you know, it is what it is. The one thing I can tell you about using inverter generators is there's a sequence to how you start them and how you put load to them. So you have to start you know, they could be sitting here like this without anything plugged into them. Same with that one. That plug-in over there, I don't plug anything into it until after I've got them. They're started. They're both not on eco mode. They're both running wide open. And I give them about 15 or 20 seconds. I count to like 20. And then I plug my power cord that goes to my trailer up. And that's whenever, if you don't, and it can cause the boards to fry in them real easy. But if you don't do, like say one of them runs out of gas, you can't just start it back up and take off, because it won't produce power to your plug if there's a load on it to begin with. So you have to actually shut the trailer down, or you can actually just unplug your plug-in and then start it, let it sit for 20 seconds, plug it back up, and everything will come back on. So you don't want them to run out of gas while you're running, you know, while you're out there serving people and stuff. But, you know, like I said, if you run into something like this, I've talked to generator people, I've talked to people that have boats on the ocean, I've talked to everybody, and this was what I came up with this ideal, and then I ran it back by them all, and I said, what do you think? And they said, yeah, man, I don't see why you're gonna have a problem with that. So that's why we're here. Like I said, this is the only way I could get them to work, and they work great. So I wanted to show y'all that. I am going to use these 7600 watt AI power. Honestly, unless they just are amazing right now, I could pitch them in the garbage because nothing worked right, and they've been nothing but a headache. And I fought with them for 2 weeks trying to make this work, and they just now have come up with a solution with them, to whereas when I bought those generators on that trailer over there, them suckers right out of the box with that cord worked flawlessly. So, you know, it's whatever. You just kind of read them, make sure you're getting what you need. And guys, I appreciate you watching my videos. Like and subscribe.